Do you feel like your personal development journey has been a bit of a letdown? You're not as far along as you would have hoped. You've been going on all the courses, you've been reading all the books, but nothing has really changed for you. It's a common thing and something that I see every single day. But today, this is what we're going to be talking about. If you're actually practicing personal development or if you're just fooling yourself. Welcome back to Master Your Mindset, Master Your Life. I'm Sanj, and today I'm talking about and peeling back the curtain on something that we all need to face head on. Are you actually practicing personal development, or are you fooling yourself and thinking that you are? So let me hit you with a quote that's perfect for this discussion, and that is, knowledge isn't power, applied knowledge is power. And that's what I'm here to talk about. When I started this personal development journey, I was going on reading all the books and I was going on all these courses. But the one thing I made sure I was doing was I was implementing it. But yet so many of the guys I help, so many of the people I help, they're reading all the books, they're doing all the courses, but they're not actually noticing any difference because they're doing all this stuff without actually applying any of it. And this is what today's episode is about. It's easy to fool yourself into thinking that you're practicing personal development, but you may just be taking in knowledge. As the quote said, knowledge isn't power, applied knowledge is power. So a lot of us fool ourselves into thinking that we're growing just because we're consuming this personal development content. We're seeing the TikToks, we're watching the YouTube videos, we're listening to the podcast, we're going on the courses, we're reading the books. Maybe you've got a stack of self-help books on your nightstand. You've bookmarked all the top motivational videos on YouTube. Your Instagram feed is just filled with quotes like "you got this" or "failure isn't falling down, it's staying down." But here's the thing, reading, watching and scrolling is not the same as doing. It's like buying workout gear, watching fitness tutorials, but actually never stepping foot in the gym. You may feel like you're part of the fitness world, but your body won't change unless you start putting in the time, doing the reps. Did you know that over 75% of people who buy self-help books never finish them? And of those who do, only 10% actually implement the advice. That's a whole lot of great intentions and very little follow through. And you got to ask yourself, why does this happen? And the reason it is because consuming this information, actually reading it, doing it, and so reading it, showing up for these courses, it feels good. When you're consuming all this information, it's safe, it's easy, and it gives you the illusion of progress. But that's a problem. It's an illusion. But until you're applying what you've learned, it's just mental entertainment. It's not getting you anywhere. It's not going to change anything. You need to start actually implementing what you learn. But the problem is a lot of people, then when you're getting to the point where you've been on, say, 20 courses, when you've read 50 books, when you're listening to the podcast, looking at the quotes, it's overwhelming. And then you just don't know what information to take in. You don't know what to apply, what not to apply. And this was actually one of my biggest things. When I first started, I was trying to implement everything. I was trying to implement the morning routines, the nighttime routines. I was trying to do the exercises, the meditations. I was trying to do it all. But then what I realized is over time, as I was doing it, I would try everything. But then over time, after a year or two, I knew what would work for me and what wouldn't. So now I've got to a point where I'm actually comfortable knowing when I'm reading new information, I know that it may not be for me, but I know the kind of person it would be good for because I've tried it, I've implemented it. So as good as it was consuming the information, and I'm still consuming information, it feels good. But I also know where to apply it and who to apply it to. And so, as I said, action is the key to change everything. And the problem is you're feeling overwhelmed. Real growth happens when you take action, but that's when most of us hit the wall. And it's because you're overwhelmed. You're constantly consuming this information. You get paralysis by analysis by all the things you could do. Yeah, it's very easy to think I need to meditate, journal, exercise, eat better, improve my relationships, crush it at work, have enough energy, be the best dad ever, be the best husband, be the best version of me, find time for myself and all this, all of that at once. And the only thing that's a recipe for is burnout. And that's before you've even begun. Imagine you're learning about productivity hacks. You read about time blocking, task batching, prioritizing your goal, to-do list, decluttering your workspace. But instead of implementing just one, you either try and do all of them and then you end up feeling overwhelmed, it's too much, and then you, after like the first week, that's it. Or you get overwhelmed and you do nothing. Does that sound familiar? You end up having so many decisions to make, and what the problem is decision fatigue can actually reduce your ability to follow through on tasks by almost 50%. So when you're reading all this stuff, when you're consuming all this stuff, is fantastic, is great to know. But the more options and information that you're juggling, the less likely you are to act on any of it. So it's better for you to actually stop, take a step back, go on a detox from it all, and then just actually start again. Yeah, so here are 3 ways in which you can actually start taking action, because you need to break out of this loop of just consuming without doing. So number 1 is pick one thing to focus on. Instead of trying everything at once, choose one area to focus on. For me, it was my morning routine. That was my number 1 thing that I focused on. I started waking up early, started going to bed early because of it, and I made sure I had a morning routine. Yeah, so choose one area. For you, it could be your relationship with your kids. It could be your relationship with your spouse. It could be just going out, getting exercise, being more physical. Yeah. Ask yourself, what is one thing you can do today that will make the biggest impact? Then commit to it for 30 days. Even if you decide to focus on, say, fitness, you don't have to worry about running marathons in 30 days. You just need to start thinking, okay, I can start with 10 minutes of movement every day. I can start with 20 minutes of just a brisk walk outside. Do something that will fit into your schedule, something which will actually get you slowly building up momentum. The next thing is set micro goals. For example, for me, with the morning routine, I read the Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, and I wanted to wake up at 5:30 a.m. But there was no way I was going to be waking up from 7 to 5:30 in one jump. So I set micro goals. So I broke it down into 15-minute intervals, and every week I woke up 15 minutes earlier. So from 7 o'clock it was 6:45, then 6:30, then 6:15, and so on until I got to 5:30. When I broke them down into bite-sized pieces, it actually meant that I was seeing progress and momentum, and it wasn't making that big an impact. It didn't feel like I went from 0 to 100. It felt manageable. So, for example, if you want to start by moving into a new career, start by updating your CV. Start by reaching out to a mentor. Start networking. Just small wins that will build your confidence. Yeah, and when you start to get those small wins, you're going to release dopamine, the feel-good chemical, and that'll actually keep you motivated to keep going. The final thing is create accountability. The problem is so easy to quit when no one's watching. It's so easy to do what you say you're going to do when someone's there. But when no one's watching, that's when it's easiest to quit. Because you're going to say to yourself, no one will know. But the problem is you will know. That will also impact your self-confidence. So make sure you have accountability. Yeah, whether it's a friend, a coach, a journal, yeah, a habit tracker, stick it on the wall somewhere where everyone can see it, somewhere where you can see it. It's much harder to back out or to hide it when it's there right in front of you. Share your goal with someone who's going to check in on your progress. Write down your daily actions and review them at the end of the week. Is this where you want to be? Is this what you want to do? Yeah, is this actually going to help you develop and become the person you want? Yeah, so write it down. Make sure that you review it at the end of each week. Yeah, personal development isn't about how many books you've read or how many motivational videos you've watched. It's about what you do with that knowledge that you've gained. It's better for you to read 3 books in a year and implement things from each of those 3 than read 30 books and implement nothing. Remember, action is a bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. So my challenge to you for the next 7 days is to actually start taking action on one thing that you've learned but you haven't yet put into practice. So what is one small thing that you can put into practice for the next 7 days? So thank you for joining me on today's episode of Master Your Mindset, Master Your Life. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who just needs a gentle push just to stop thinking and start doing. And as always, remember, you are one action away from a better life. So until next time, keep growing, keep thriving, keep mastering your mindset so you can master your life. If you got something out of this episode, please share it with me. Leave a comment with your biggest takeaway and let me know what you enjoyed most about it. Otherwise, I'll see you next episode. Thank you.